Arsenal fans, are we still hoping on an attacker? I don't know, man. Let's get straight into it and look at what the tabloids are saying, people. Now, big up to hand of Arsenal. Martinelli and Al-Hilal are closing in on reaching an agreement over personal terms, fee in the region of 60 million euros. So, what's that? 50 odd million quid. Arsenal had brought Martinelli from Matano, who are expected to receive 15 to 20% on any profits made. Bearing in mind, we bought him for 6 million. So, past that 6 million, everything's up for debate. Selfishly, as an Arsenal fan, obviously, you want us to retain all of the money. It's a weird one where you look at Martinelli's transfer, away from the obvious in that, I think when you isolate Martinelli and look at him as a tool in a toolbox, the question is, if you sell Martinelli and don't bring an attacker in, we're weaker in terms of bodies. He's a serviceable tool in that regards, people. Isolated to Martinelli's story, when you remove emotion, this is something that probably needed to happen last year. And you know what? Unless you're David Raya, Saliba, Gabriel Rice, Saka, a couple other players, everything is subject for debate. We do need to be ruthless, whether this is fair or his treatment of it. These are all other relative factors that I'm not saying are not relevant, not prevalent, and not, with claims, people, but as an overview. Now, obviously, for me, I look at it on both sides. We got a lot for 6 million out of Martinelli. He's scored in big games. He's grown up here. He's won the Premier League trophy. He's done his thing in that regards, people. And it's a success story. We plucked him from Itano, not one of the well-known Brazilian league clubs or Brazilian teams. He's had a great story here and we've made a profit. So we've got more than our 6 million. We're making a handsome profit. 60 odd million euros for a player on his wages with 1 year left. On one hand, I do think that's fair value. On the other hand, I do think if everything that Martinelli's been on the journey, and especially the last 4 years, and everything we've been speaking about with Martinelli, if this was at other clubs, I do think they get a bit more. I do think, with the way the market has gone, and it's not necessarily about how good or a bad player is, I do think you could have got more. So the truth is somewhere in the middle in that regards. Hopefully I've got the creative juices flowing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section under this video on what you believe with, is it the right decision to get rid of Martinelli, to keep him, etc., etc. Romano is milking this Julian Alvarez stuff as much as he can, rightly so. The game is the game. Arsenal remain attentive to Julian Alvarez's situation. An internal feeling is that they can reach an agreement with Atletico on the fee, but Arsenal will only bid if Julian decides to open doors to the move. His stance will be the key factor. So far, Julian wanted only Barcelona. So again, you're still waiting until the 11th hour for him to change his mind and say, you know what, Barca was my first choice. I want to go elsewhere, people. So for me, I understand going for Morgan Rogers. I also understand not wanting to spend 117 million. I understand being attentive to the situation of Julian Alvarez and Vinicius Jr. and being linked with Picola. And the club did show ambition and big up Zolis. But at the end of the day, I can only look at what come in the door, because I can't, if there's any talking points about needing a left winger beyond Zolis, I can't be like, oh wow, well at least we tried, and we're in January, or better yet December. I can't be like, well, at least we tried for Thingy, for Vinicius, etc. On one hand, the attacking market is dead. Right wing generally is dead. Up front's dead. Left wing dead. You could argue left wing is the deadest of the front three, in it. So that's that. Now, the Athletic have come out with a deal sheet, people. Obviously, I'm only interested in what's going on with Arsenal Football Club. Now, if we skim through some of the Tosh people, we all know we completed the signing of Eversley Konza, and you can see Aston Villa missed him in it. They got drummed 4-0. Obviously, make sure my real supporters, make sure you're checking out Stars and Duds of the Week, where it's a series around just Premier League stuff, Arsenal included, but more of an overview of other clubs, in which I say that to say this: Aston Villa sure as hell miss Konza and everyone else that they've been rated for. But we did complete the signing of the 28-year-old people for 51 million plus 4 million add-ons. We all know we all got to see him at the Emirates, being, giving his welcome ahead of us beating Coventry 3-0. Apparently, the champions have also moved to bring in some new talent into their academy. Habib Ogane, forgive me for any mispronunciation, a 20-year-old right back, has undergone a medical ahead of a proposed move from Manchester United. Arsenal are close to finalising a move for 19-year-old United winger James Scallon. The expectation is that both deals will be free transfers, with the Old Trafford club receiving significant sell-on clauses. Now, again, you can never rule out anything. I very much doubt these players make it at this football club, and I very much doubt they believe they can. Now, obviously, you want to, but it's a job like anyone else. You've been at Man United, you're coming to Arsenal, where our under 21s, we don't have that quality collectively, and we don't have a squad stopgap. You never know what doors that could open for you. And for Arsenal's under 21s, under 16s, under 18s, under 21s, we probably do need to bolster our squad. So Yeah, and for Man United, two players that you're clearly open to letting go, you're getting significant sell-on clauses, and that's the difference. We're bringing in players for our 21s. People like Heaven, who had a clanger against Hull City, in it, they're becoming key players. But we all look after our little brothers, in it. Organe and Scallon are known to Arsenal's new under-21s head coach, David Horseman. He previously spent 4 months at United as an academy coach. I never knew that, so maybe he's put a word in. Arsenal are keen to strengthen that group to make the team more competitive. So basically what I just said. They are close to successfully concluding their protracted pursuit of Blackburn Rovers' 18-year-old Igor Sejon. The striker had been in dispute with the Championship club after they resisted multiple approaches from Arsenal, but a breakthrough was found last week. Sejon had a medical on Friday. Arsenal have agreed to pay an initial 1 million plus bonuses and a sell-on clause for the England under-18 international. How would the Martinelli sale affect Alvarez' interest or other attacking signings? Let me know your thoughts on that. The Athletic has reported that Saudi Pro League club Al-Hilal are pursuing a deal to sign Gabby Martinelli. The Brazilian international has been omitted from the squad for the Community Shield and the Coventry game on successive weekends and looks likely to depart before next Tuesday's deadline. Arsenal entered the window keen to drive significant revenue through player trading. The sale of Martinelli would generate a substantial profit should the deal go through. It's expected to become the club record sale, topping Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's £35 million move to Liverpool in 2017. Again, I don't need to tell you, we need to get better at selling. It remains to be seen whether Arsenal would divert that money straight into signing a replacement attacker. The club have pursued the likes of Morgan Rogers and Vinicius Jr. in this window without landing the new forward they hoped for. Inquiries around Kenan Yildiz had been met by Juventus with a firm refusal. Arsenal retain an interest in Julian Alvarez of Atletico Madrid, but accept that a deal would only be possible if he were to soften his insistence on joining Barcelona. Should Alvarez remain resolute about Barcelona, Arsenal must determine whether to persist with their current attacking group or pivot to an alternative target. I mean, I wish we got Semenyo in it in January. There are other forwards they admire, such as Bradley Barcola of PSG, who had been on their shortlist throughout the summer. In the case of Barcola, however, Arsenal consider PSG's asking price in the region of 145 million too high for a player who has not always been a regular starter. Away from the first team, Arsenal's drive to recruit emerging talent continues. The club have made a contract offer for 17-year-old Georgian Andrea Barchashvili, the attacking midfielder who plays for second division Kolketi Poti in his homeland, is currently on loan with top flight Georgian side Iberia and has represented his country at under 21s level. His current deal expires later this year. Arsenal are hoping to secure him on a pre-contract agreement. I'm not sure when he turns 18, but obviously when he turns 18, that's when he'll officially be able to live in this country and commence life as an Arsenal footballer. Either Nwaneri could leave before the window shuts next Tuesday night, with Arsenal considering loan offers. There is interest in the 19-year-old from the Premier League and abroad. If it is to be another loan, the club would deliberate carefully over a destination, especially given the difficulties Nwaneri experienced during last season's spell with Marseille. Fellow academy graduate Miles Lewis-Skelly is set to remain with Arsenal. Mikel Arteta has confirmed he 100% expects the 19-year-old to stay. Another player who looks unlikely to depart is Kepa. David Raya's deputy had a release clause in his contract early this summer, allowing him to depart for a fee set, but that expired without being activated. While things can quickly change in the market with 8 days to go in the window, the expectation is that the 31-year-old will remain in North London. Fellow backup goalkeeper Tommy Setford is set to leave on loan. So we've technically got 4 keepers. Millier's third choice, Kepa's second choice. Obviously, our first choice is Raya. Tommy Setford needs to go on loan. He's 20 years of age, needs to go and kick some football. Now, could we get rid of Kepa and Ramsdale could be our second choice goalkeeper again? I'm being a bit silly there, people. But yeah, I wonder what you lot think of that. If at some point in the next 7 days, Julian Alvarez tells his agent, okay, I want to consider Arsenal, my understanding is that Arsenal would be prepared to try to reach an agreement with Atletico Madrid. Arsenal will be ready to sit at the table. So simultaneously, can we go for another name and make sure we get that deal kind of going ahead rather than relying on Julian Alvarez? If you're, you know what, I don't mind signing for Arsenal, etc., etc. Apparently, the PFA Awards are in Manchester this evening. As voted by the players. Apparently, in terms of the category, men's player of the year, you've got David Raya, Declan Rice, and Magalhaes. Young player, you've got Max Dowman. To be fair, Rio and Gomorrah, I think should win that. Women's player of the year, Alicia Russo. Women's young player, you got Olivier Smith. So hopefully it's a clean sweep where Arsenal are concerned in that regards, people. Jared Gillett has been appointed the referee for Arsenal versus Aston Villa on Monday night. Shame I'm going to be at Carnival. I'm going to try to race home people to see what's going on in that game. So yeah, Al-Hilal are closing in on signing Martinelli. Since the start of the summer, according to BBC sources, Arsenal have been confident Julian Alvarez to Barcelona was a non-starter. Barcelona remain interested in the player, but started to consider alternatives involving Gyökeres. Depending on how this transfer ends, Ellie Junior Kroupi is one to watch for many clubs in January, including Arsenal. They most certainly held talks with his camp early in the window. I know he's injured. And I know I've said stuff that's not this, but you know what? Test ball must resolve. I'd rather pursue that and do the we tried thing if you don't get him than Julian Alvarez, because at least I think Donny can get him. So yeah, everyone's well aware of Nwaneri's level of interest. We have been linked with Lille's Mateus Fernandez Pardo, who I have spoken about. He's got a 70 million euros asking price as the window ticks down. Kylian Yildiz was a serious target for us this summer. We really tried. Juventus didn't want to sell. He remains on our list in the future. PSG insiders expect Bradley Barcola to leave before the transfer window shuts, says Ben Jacobs. Tottenham are still pushing to sign Cody Gakpo, who's been linked with Manchester City, which I do find crazy. Yeah, I don't really give much thought to the Barcola stuff. On Kylian Yildiz, he's set to undergo knee surgery and be out for 2 months for what it's worth. Anyone taking a punt on Rafa Leao? He's rejected Aston Villa, apparently. Apparently, he wants to join Galatasaray. Apparently, Leeds United rejected him. And should we take a chance on Dario Azario, who scored a great goal at the weekend? You know what? South American skills and that. Not going to sit here and act like I'm the most educated, but fuck it, man. Let's take a risk now, man. Apparently, City like him, Liverpool, Arsenal, and AC Milan like him. And do you know what? I'm going to say this, yeah? Obviously, City have sold Salvino, whatever his name is. And they brought in some guy called Allen from Brazil. And you know what? When you see them kind like a Brazilian winger called Allen, I don't know nothing about him. But I'm at the point, Arsenal, please, I need another winger in addition to Zolis, because I don't know nothing about the guy. But I'm getting jealous and thinking, right, you know what? They've replaced the winger already. They've got a winger in. You know, if it was a defender, we rise up things very quickly, man. But you know what? If we don't bring in an attacker, I think we've got enough to win the Premier League and look at it in January. I'm not happy with that. I'm a firm believer in life. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. In terms of the collective, if you let Martinelli go, then we're weaker there. You know, you've got Zolis, people that can move across, and Eze. But beyond Zolis, there's more questions than answers there. And you know what? Hot take of the weekend, City are still going to be fighting for the league. But Chelsea, you know, Chelsea are out there and they've got a better front three than us. We've got a better midfield. We've got a better defense. We've got a better defensive ethos. We've got proof of product 100% because we've done it for a couple of years now, being consistently second, latter stages of Europe and finally getting over the line. But I do think Xabi Alonso's a great coach and a genius when it comes to football. Get what I'm saying? Football purists will get what I'm saying. I think they've got fresh ideas. You know, I'd say the one thing that interests me beyond the obvious with Chelsea against Fulham was the use of the defenders in an attacking move. Not a fan of Reece James in midfield anymore in 2026, I must admit. But I do think we need to get these attackers, man. And, you know, that left wing is, we've known we needed to fix that for years. Now, Zolis is one man. But I'm asking one man to be fit and do it for 38 games, let alone in all comps. You lot tell me, man. You lot tell me. He always just like, I think